Hello everybody and welcome to the match between Best DT player and the TheKubaX. Best DT player is rank 28 in the tournament and TheKubaX is rank 37. So we are seeing a match between two people who are quite close seed in this match. Today we've seen 3 tiebreakers and all of them have been upsets, with the lower seed actually ending up winning. So we're gonna have to see if Cuba can clutch the win here in this match today. I am Nelly and I am the one casting here today. This is the second last match. We have one more match before we have the showcase later today. So we're gonna have to see how this ends up going. I think we have a warm-up or we just finish warm-up. I'm not quite sure. I think we have the warm-ups right here. I see Cuba saying hi to me. Hello, Cuba. Focus on your match. But yeah, we are seeing two really similar players here actually. At least when it came to the qualifier scores. It's gonna be interesting to see how this is gonna go down later today. But we're gonna be going into the warm-up here. I believe this is TheKubaX's warm-up as well. So, oh, they're playing easy, easy flashlight. This is certainly a warm-up. I actually saw on Best DT players profile that they play a lot of easy double time, and I know both of these players play double time, so we're gonna have to see if they end up picking it here today in this match. I think that would be really fun to see it going down, especially with the DT player's name being what it is. But despite their name being best DT player, they actually had really low scores on the DT pool in the qualifiers. Perhaps maybe sandbagging, or they just didn't like the maps. I mean, it really depends. But obviously playing DT with easy is very different from playing actual DT, so it could just have to do with the skill set needed, right? But it is just gonna have to be left up to everything. So we see them warm up there, finishing. That wasn't quite a show of anything. Yeah, and I agree with chat there. Qualified DTs were very fun. But we're gonna be going into the roles now. What I'm expecting from both of these players, I'm expecting probably for best DT player to ban hidden against Cuba. Cuba had really good hidden in the qualifiers. They got 7th place on the hidden one. And I'm expecting Cuba to ban Hard Rock 1. See Cuba rolling a 3. But DT player rolled a 2, so I mean, we see the win with 1 right there. Very nice rolls. It's not often we get such low. So we're gonna see what Cuba ends up picking here, if they wanna ban first or if they wanna pick first, or the reverse, obviously. But yeah, I'm expecting the Hard Rock 1 and Hidden 2 to be banned here, most likely. Mostly as the Hidden 2, I think, is because it doesn't seem like DT player likes playing low AR, which I know Cuba is very efficient on low AR. Cuba's issue is usually the nerves when it goes into tournaments. From practicing together with Cuba, I know that Cuba is very comfortable on this pool, so we're gonna have to see if DT player has done their practice on this pool. Since we had 3 upsets today and all of them going to tiebreaker, anything can obviously end up happening, and especially if there's a lack of practice. So we're just gonna have to see how this goes. First ban is for DT player and they ban hidden 1. Close enough. That is completely understandable, perhaps not wanting to deal with that one, because if you miss on that map, you usually end up losing that map. So, quite understandable. Seeing Cuba quite upset about that ban too. It is what it is. So we're gonna see Cuba banning here. We're gonna see if it's Hard Rock 1. That's what I'm expecting, at least. Drum roll. It is Hard Rock 1. Quite predictable right there. I wouldn't want to fight the DT player on that map. They seem quite comfortable on that higher AR maps. So very smart ban right there. So we're gonna see what the pick here is gonna be for Cuba. And Cuba goes into Hard Rock 2 right away. That is quite interesting with banning the Hard Rock 1 and then picking into the Hard Rock 2. The Hard Rock 2 plays a bit slower. For me, from my personal experience, I think the Hard Rock 2 almost plays like a double time with low circle size. Obviously that's up for debate, but that's just how I end up feeling about it. This is a map where a lot of people usually end up tying, so it can literally just come down to who gets the most droplet misses. So we're gonna have to see how these players do here going into the Hard Rock 2. And we see Cuba actually going hidden on this one. Cuba, based on their profile, is definitely a hidden player. We also ended up seeing it in the quals, doing incredibly well on that hidden. And especially if you have difficulties reading higher AR, going with hidden can actually help you with your reading quite a lot actually. It can help you look at other parts of the screen, making it easier to read. Currently, both players just holding on in this one. That's kind of what you need. We see a slight lead for best DT player here since they're keeping the SS. Cuba has the small droplets misses. So what Cuba wants right now is for DT player to start missing some of those droplets. This map usually does always come down to droplets, so we're gonna have to see how it continues here. A little bit of the tight jumps. And in that pause there, you'll end up seeing how you and your opponent are doing. That can be nerve-wracking for some players, and it can be a motivation for others. It really just depends on who it is. Currently it seems like, oh, the players are the same in the score right now. We might actually end up tying. We're heading soon into a quarter left of the map. Currently players on the exact same score. Just gonna have to see how they end up closing this one out. A droplet miss from any of them here is gonna give it to the other player. Definitely a lot tighter on this map than I thought it would be. Very interesting pick coming in as well. Both players here is fighting tooth and nail, going into the last part now. Any miss here will do it. Currently just the same on both of the players, and we might have to replay the map if this continues. Both players currently tying up, certainly living up to the rest of the tournament with these scores right here. So we actually see a droplet. Oh, we see a droplet miss on DT player right there. That means Cuba takes the map with 430 points. That was right at the end as well. That is really unfortunate for them. That would have gone into a second replay if it wasn't for that. Really well done there for Cuba by holding on. Incredibly sad there for DT player. You even see them saying in the chat that they kind of threw right there. That's really unfortunate, but a really good pick from Cuba right there, showing the comfort there on the Hard Rock 2. But just based on the comfort on the Hard Rock 2, I'm quite surprised that I ended up banning that Hard Rock 1, but perhaps just scared of facing DT player on that pick right there. So we're gonna have to see what they pick now. They're going to Nomad 3 right away. That was insta-locked, the Nomad 3. Perhaps very comfortable on that one. In general, from their qualifier score, they seemed really comfortable on the convert Nomad. So I guess it could be quite expected to see them pick it here. Definitely comfort from them. On their profile, they also have a lot of convert scores. So it's gonna be very fun to see how they play this map. This map is very low AR though, which is something that TheKubaX is very comfortable on. So we also see that Cuba might be hit by nerves right there. So we see that in the chat. Hopefully they will recover. But DT player apparently in the same seat. I think maybe both players very nervous after all of the tiebreakers that we had today. That is certainly something that can put you out of your balance, seeing that happen all day. Really rough for both of the players, but you do always have some time in between the picks where you can just take a second to breathe and relax. And that is something that can honestly flip a whole match. Having that is very important. Seeing both of them mentally reset here. especially with how close the match was on just 430 points. Both of the players complementing each other, which is really nice to see. We love to see that in tournaments. But in general, we can talk about the players a little bit now while we are waiting. For example, I saw on the DT player's profile that they are apparently a completionist. They want to try to play every single map in every single game mode. So that's kind of cool. So if you guys are interested in that, you could probably follow them, spectate them sometimes, see how they're doing, how it's going along. Always fun to see that. As we are heading into the map now, to the No Mod 3 here. This is also one of those maps where you kind of need to hold on, like even a droplet miss on this map can make you lose it, speaking from experience. So, both players now just starting out a bit quietly here. This is a map you don't need to hold in shift that much. It's a map you can mostly just walk. There's some sections you need to jump, like that one right there. But as long as you just are comfortable with this map and you've practiced it, it's quite easy. From what I know, these players have been practicing quite a lot, so both of them definitely respecting each other going into this match right here. They're just both holding on. They're tied once again. Neither of them have dropped. They're both on the double SS right now. Any miss here, whatever it be, a fruit or a droplet, will swing it over. This shows how close these people actually are in terms of individual skill. Taking that break for them was probably a very smart decision before. And Cuba misses there on the tight jumps. Oh, that is unfortunate. That is one of those that you have to be prepared for with the shift. There's quite a few of those in this map. Gonna have to see if they can recover here. If you're Cuba right now, you're just praying that DT will miss as well. But that is something that you really do not want on something like this, because this map usually is one of the easier ones in the pool. A lot of really high scores. We can see Cube actually wiggling their catcher. They're definitely upset about that miss. Seeing the scores now, they know that DT is holding that double SS. So hoping that they can keep their mental despite it, especially knowing that they are quite a nervous player. Just recovering into the next map. But we're almost a quarter into this map. The map isn't lost yet, anything can happen. But DT player looks very, very comfortable on this pick right here, and they did insta-lock it, so that should not perhaps be that surprising. Just both holding on. But with so little left in the map, do they have the time to miss and get this lead back? It's a 36k difference. I think it might be too big even if something were to happen at the end here. Might sadly be that miss right there just ended up losing them this. This Ak would have been competing with DT player. But DT player seems to be holding on to that SS as we enter the last section of the map. And they hold it the entire map through. That is what we are waiting to see. And they did. Really nice double S there from a best DT player, showing that DT isn't their best mod perhaps. Surprise, surprise. Does anyone know if best no mod player is available? Perhaps we can give it to them. So we're gonna be going into TheKubaX's pick here. We're gonna have to see if Cuba can recover from that one, knowing that their nerves are so high. A very, very nice FC there from DT player. Really unfortunate miss on jump there by Cuba. I wonder what they're gonna go into here. I'm debating if they're gonna maybe challenge DT player on the DT maps, because despite the name there, they did do quite poorly in the qualifiers. So it might, I'm thinking maybe a DT1 could be an optional pick here if they feel comfortable on it. But they're gonna go into the Nomad 1 instead. That is the long map, it's the consistency map that we have on AR8. Cuba quite comfortable on that lower AR. So not super surprising to see it come out. I would have wished to see the DT, but maybe they want to make a DT player pick it. Just force them into that. So we're gonna be heading into the map right here. It's a very good song. I agree, Shatter. So we start the map now. This is one of our longer maps. It's 3 minutes 34 seconds. So this is one where you need to have that stamina to just hold on through the map. And with how the nerves of these players have been, especially judging on their chats, this is one where nerves can end up hitting you the longer you go into this map. So I'm expecting things to go down about midway through. We're gonna have to watch here and see, as we see an early lead from Cuba with 2k, just holding onto that SS. In this pause here, the players will see the difference as well. Also something that could affect nerves in a map like this. Just continuing to hold on here. Yeah, it is indeed the accuracy diff going down into it. I mean, most of these maps have been, from what we see, the players almost always have the equal score. Both very, very comfortable on this pool. It literally just comes down to nerves between these two players. Like any small miss, any misstep, anything is what is gonna end up bringing it into the other person's corner, pretty much. Especially with how on the easier side the pool is. Both of them are just holding on. Cuba ended up missing there with the droplet, which I thought would maybe bring it into their corner, but it seems like Cuba is still in the lead with 2k despite the droplet miss right there. They are on the exact same accuracy, so I don't know if it is Bancho being Bancho or if they did something else. Someone missed at the start. Did best DT player miss the first note? Did I miss that? Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't notice that. I thought it was a bit strange that Cuba was in the lead with 2. Thank you there, caught by the chatter. I didn't even see that. We saw that earlier today in the other match between Shukas and DJ, where they ended up missing the first note and lost due to missing that first note. That is something that always gonna end up happening. You think you're ready for the map to start, but you might zone out, you might be nervous, and then you end up missing that first note. That is really unfortunate, actually, especially with how close these players are doing. Just the same as it was in that match. Anything you end up tipping it when you miss that first note, which is not what you want. I think DT player definitely feeling that miss right now. But Cuba here doing a phenomenal job with, I believe it's just one droplet miss as well. Really, really strong performance going into this longer Nomad 1 here. So we see them going into the last part of the map. It's about 10% left of the map here. But with that first miss, nothing else can really happen here at the end unless Cuba were to miss multiple notes. Which I don't think that he will end up doing. I think this is sealed and dealed for Cuba. Just finishing up that own pick, doing really well. Both of these players are very comfortable on their own picks, as we've seen. It's usually just that one little difference, but especially with like the first miss there on the first note that I ended up missing. Yeah, that is what's ended up sealing the deal right there. It might have been a lot closer, but Cuba really, really doing well on this map. It's really unlucky there for DT player. Gonna have to hope that that doesn't affect the mental. That is something that is really, really rough to have to go through as a player. Especially when you hit that ready, you think you're ready, but you might not actually be. As we see the insta-lock on DT3 there, that hadn't even loaded in for us there. That was quick. Definitely see that DT player has their plan here for what they wish to play today. I mean, it's not that surprising, but Cuba definitely very comfortable on the DT. I could see this going either way, honestly. With DT3, it is our control map on 8.6 33 star rating. This map, at least in my opinion, plays a bit more like a hard rock map. Definitely a difference between the hard rock and the DT maps. I feel like they take from each other and plays like the other. There's one pattern in this one that is really, really difficult to hit. You have to practice that one. It's also really nerve-wracking to play DT3 when you are troubled by the nerves in the map, like these two players have admitted that they are. If you aren't ready for that combo, it is gonna be really rough. But I also see that apparently DT player has been practicing the DT3, so if they're feeling confident on it, that is definitely not surprising. So this is really gonna be up to Cuba now to see if he can take a break point here, because as it's going right now, we might end up going to tiebreaker if both players just end up taking their own maps. What they are gonna be wishing for is to get a break point going into this, unless they want to go to tiebreaker. I mean, I'm not gonna judge them. They can do that if they wish. Early on here, both players holding that double SS, that is to be expected. Both very comfortable here. It's gonna be that wonky combo at the end, since this is a convert. Those patterns do sometimes appear where they are just really, really difficult to hit. So we're probably just gonna see these two hold it head to head as we move into it, but we actually see a droplet miss from DT player. So currently a bit of a lead for Cuba, but DT misses! DT misses right there! That is really, really unfortunate. That is just gonna swing it completely in Cuba's corner right there. Really, really uncharacteristic, but perhaps it is the nerves, perhaps it was the combo, or just general misplay. That is very unfortunate for them here going into it. The Cuba is holding on like a champ with some act drop, but still holding the FC. Very, very well done. We're soon gonna be hitting halfway through this map. Yeah, indeed, nerves do be like that. And DT misses again on that combo that I mentioned. That is the combo that you have to practice or you will miss it. Cuba hitting it like it was nothing. Really, really unfortunate there for DT. This might be the first breakpoint in the map with how many misses there have been on the board for DT player. And perhaps, maybe it is just nerves knowing that DT is your thing and you end up missing. It's really, really rough for this to happen. But yeah, they did score on the DT in the qualifiers really, really poorly. It was actually the worst mod was the DT. And it perhaps, since they are a DT easy player, just playing without that easy might feel strange for them. Or it's just a combination of everything we've mentioned. Cuba just holding on beautifully here, and I even forgot to mention that Cuba is playing this with the hidden. Is playing this really difficult combo map with the hidden and just FCing is very impressive from them. But DT player is recovering really well here. There is a tiny bit left of the map, so they could theoretically maybe take it back, but it's looking very, very unrealistic in this moment. Cuba is just completely champing this map right now. So we're heading into the last bit of notes right there. And then with the banana, it's a 83k difference. It is our first breakpoint in this match. That is gonna go to Cuba, so Cuba is now gonna be on match point, taking away the DT map from the DT player. That is definitely gonna affect your mental, I think. And we're also gonna be heading into Cuba's own pick. It's gonna be interesting to see what Cuba ends up picking here. Pick correctly, and he will end up winning this match right now. Definitely, if I was in Cuba's shoes right here, I would take some time to think about it. What I would wish to pick here. They did go into the no mod earlier. No, they went into hard rock. Yeah, sorry. So we're gonna have to see. Both players want to play tiebreaker after this regardless of how it goes, so we're gonna have to see. But we're gonna be going into the hidden too. That is a very smart pick here from Cuba, I feel. Definitely known for their hidden. We saw how good they did even on the DT with the hidden. Same with the hard rock. This is definitely gonna be a battle for DT player. This is the low AR. So this is the reading map that we have for the hidden. This is one where if you are slightly offbeat, you will end up missing, along with the fact that it's a convert, so you have to always think about where you're placing that catcher. This is definitely looking like an uphill battle here for DT player, but not impossible by any means. Let's see if DT player can take a break point here from Cuba, also remove Cuba from that match point that they are on. Perhaps contesting. Let's see who wins this spinner battle. It is gonna be Cuba who won the spinner battle right there. Both players just holding on for now. This is a slower song, slower map. Kinda hard to get hyped about, but we are on match point, so we shall see how it ends up going here. Both players just looking very, very comfortable. Nerves don't seem to be that big. But since Cuba is on match point, that is something that could end up hitting them here, knowing that this is their favorite mod. This is their favorite AR. Should be something that should be right up their alley, but with the nerves, could definitely impact. So we almost saw the miss there, but didn't end up being one. Both players trading right there, both players missing, followed by a second miss by DT player with a complete misplacement of their catcher. You're seeing Cuba bring the lead out despite the trading, just by the follow-up miss there from DT player. If they had managed to get into the right position again, they would have been able to hold on, but that's another miss. As we are almost a quarter into the map with multiple misses there from DT player, this is going to be really rough for them to hold on to, but they need Cuba to miss here to be able to stay in this match. But they miss again, and that is very, very unfortunate. With this little map left, it's gonna be really hard to take it back, and then followed by another miss that I sadly think, despite there being some map left, I think that's the nail in the coffin. There's a 150k score difference between these two players right now, and DT player just keeps missing. I think they know it's over. That mental just completely boomed after that first miss there. It's very, very unfortunate, especially since we are on match point. As we see Cuba holding on there at the end, that means that we end up having our fourth upset here. Thankfully, not another tiebreaker. I know they are fun to see, but we have 4 upsets here today with a convincing win there from Cuba. Really, really, really well done from them, as they take down seed 37 as seed 28. Very well done, both players, of course. Though, since they both admitted they both had nerves, that is definitely what played into today. Both of them equally good, equally confident on similar things. So, big congratulations to Cuba. Good luck in the winner's bracket. And DT player is gonna go into the loser's bracket. But both players did want to play the tiebreaker regardless, so we're gonna be seeing that one as well. And the tiebreaker, of course, is our 5-minute 50-second map. It's an AR 8.2 map. It's pretty much just consistency and keeping those nerves calm when you go into this map, because any miss will throw it over. Same with miss. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they would have fared against each other going into this tiebreaker. It's always fun to see like who would have had enough to take it if it did go to the tiebreaker. But for now, we are gonna be going into it. I'm expecting hidden. I see hidden. I also see a hard rock on DT player. I don't think that would be allowed if it was official tiebreaker, just saying, but they're gonna be going into that for this map now, and already seeing a miss right there. It would have been fun to see both players just sticking with what would have been the official rules, just to see how they would have fared up against each other. I don't believe that you are allowed to pick hard rock on a tiebreaker. I think it's only no mod or hidden, if I am not wrong. So it would have been more fun to see how they would have gone against each other. But yeah, this is just gonna be the tiebreaker showcase between these two. And then after this one, we are gonna have another match, and then after that match, we have the showcase for the next round. We can also take a quick look at how the bracket is gonna be after this one. So we see some misses here and there traded by the players. Yeah, I see someone saying that hidden hard rock is very hard to read. It really depends on the map, because sometimes having that hidden on can actually make hard rock easier to read. For example, if you are just learning hard rock, having that hidden on, especially if you're already comfortable in hidden, is usually the easiest way to learn it. Is to know where you are supposed to keep your eyes on the screen. Because it can work very differently from how you would normally read like a nomad, for example. We see both players trading here. Perhaps Cuba not taking it that seriously, knowing it is not an official tiebreaker. I also see someone asking where they can get the skin. I believe skin is somewhere in the server. I think I remember seeing someone talk about that a while back. If I don't remember wrong. I can ask host when I am done here. But for now, we just see these players duking it out. Currently 137k lead for Cuba here. Not that surprising with the fact that DT player picked hard rock on a 5-minute map. But it is what it is. They wanted to have some fun, and that's completely okay. Very interesting match that we ended up seeing today, especially with all of the matches that we have had today have been upsets. We see multiple tiebreakers as well, so it's very, very fun. For today, we definitely saw a lot of people who were on the blue side or on the blue team ended up winning. Sometimes that can be a bit fun to see. Not always that happens, but it's always fun to pay attention to. We actually see Cuba building some combo here, even with the hidden. Very, very impressive stuff from them. See another miss there from DT player on the jump. Yeah, definitely playing this map with hard rock does not look very fun. It's speaking from personal opinion. It looks very, very rough. So I think it would have been more interesting to see both of them just duke it out how you would normally. But of course, in this moment, perhaps just wanting to have some bit of fun for the showcase in the next round. And Cuba continues to build that as we're almost at a quarter into the map, where we are gonna end up hitting the second KI. And then at the end we have the slow part, which is usually where nerves end up hitting you when you play it. Cuba building up strongly here. But still 93.12% AC. Despite running the hard rock hidden on this map, a 5-minute map is still a really good score to have. So by any means, definitely a good showing despite the frequent misses. Very, very impressive from them. I think going forward, anyone who is going against the ET player is definitely gonna have to watch out for that hard rock ball. Perhaps even ban it away from them. Maybe see if they want to target anything else. We are heading into the last 10% of the map. Cuba currently almost on a 400k lead here. So we hit that milestone right now. Going into bananas. Let's see how high they can hit that score cap right now. It's very impressive to hold the B rank on this with hard rock. I agree with you. And Cuba just holding on after those early misses. Perhaps more relaxed knowing that the map would have gone quite alright for them. Or it was just nerves at the beginning of it. So we see both players missing there at the slower section. That is something that can end up happening here because of how dense the notes are. As for the tiebreaker showcase, we see Cuba take it with 450k with a 4 miss there. But still getting a B rank on this with that hard rock is still very, very impressive. So that concludes our match here between Cuba and the best DT player. We will see the next match between Rosemarine and Mari. I don't know the full name. I apologize. I haven't looked it up. It's Super Mario 727. Sorry. Now I see it. My bad. I'm a bit blind. As we will see, the winner of that match will end up going against Kirim. And then in the losers bracket, we're gonna see where we ended up having DT player. I don't know what their essentials are. They're somewhere in here. They will be going up against someone. We can't quite find them. They are somewhere. we will fix it so everyone can see it eventually. But yeah, that will conclude our match today. We have one more and then we're gonna have the showcase. So I will see you guys back for those. Thank you for these games. I have been Nelly and I will talk to you guys some other day. Bye bye!